Okay, so this question says, may I ask what I'm guessing we are treating for the stem cell treatment therapy, whatever. If you guys aren't familiar with our story, my name is Alyssa. I have a son who is 3.5 years old, and he has been affected by progressive autism. He was labeled by the psychologist here in the States as level 3, severe, profound, non-functional, whatever you want to call it. That same psychologist, I don't recommend him. He said that I would likely institutionalize my son by the time he hit adolescence because he would be violent, he would be large, he would just overpower us and likely become violent because he will never be able to function, he'll never be able to communicate, he cognitively will never know the words no. It was just very brutal. And I mean, that psychologist, there's a reason he had no wait list. Anyways, moving on from that, we went to Mumbai, India to get stem cell treatment. We looked at a ton of different places. We looked at Thailand, we looked at China, we looked at another place in India, we looked at Panama, we looked at Florida, we looked at California, we looked at a bunch of different places, and we landed upon India. And I can tell you guys why in another video. I think I've kind of discussed why mostly, but as far as what we're treating is, in all the studies that we've read, there are a lot of indicating factors in the severely autistic community. I'm not speaking to quirkiness. I don't care if my son was just quirky. Oh, praise Jesus. If my son could even just turn on a TV or do something functional that gave me some hope that he wouldn't be in danger if he was, not supervised for one moment. Or even that he could communicate to me if someone hurt him, if someone violated him, if he socially could understand if someone, went in his diaper and wasn't supposed to be touching him, if he socially could understand and then tell me as his mother so that I could protect him. I wouldn't be going to the extent that I am going, neither would my husband, but we just want our son safe, okay? We are so desperate to make a safe space, in the odd chance that we die before him, okay? It's not an odd chance. It's probably more likely, we will probably not outlive our son. That doesn't make sense. Our son's going to outlive us, and we need to be prepared. Anyways, so we're really trying to lessen his severe symptoms. We just want some sort of functional communication. I don't care if it's I think it's called a pegboard or PECS board. I don't care if it's that. I don't care if it's even just pointing. I would kill for him to be able to just point at things, okay? None of these things are something he can do anymore. He used to be able to do things, and then it was the light flipped off in his brain. It was he suffered a traumatic brain injury. The reason we stumbled upon this was not only had we heard it with orthopedics, stem cells are essentially the cell, all the different cells that make up the body. They're like the fairy dust. They make everything. Anyways, but like I said, what it seemed like was a traumatic brain injury. And so we also looked into how are they treating traumatic brain injuries? What can we do? So reduce inflammation. So we changed his diet. We put him on, because he also had really bad skin issues. So we put him on an anti-inflammatory, antihistamine kind of thing, because he always seemed to have some sort of allergic reaction constantly going on, almost like mast cell activation. Anyways, we went down so many rabbit holes. We're really just looking for solutions at this point. It's kind of we want to know why. Hopefully we find out why on the way, but we really just want to help him while he's in those crucial developmental years. Anyways, stem cell therapy, like I said, they take them, the ones that we used were from the placenta and the cord, and then we also used our son's own, and just kind of transferred them into a different spot. Anyways, the ones in the cord and everything, if you imagine, I don't care your stance on abortion, but if you think about it, the reason they always say, oh, it's not a viable human being because it's just a cluster of cells. Well, these cluster of cells just so happen to be the stem cells. And so, obviously, when you take a fertilized, or an embryo, which is just a fertilized egg, essentially, it looks nothing like a human. So all of these little stem cells, there are hundreds of millions, if not billions, of stem cells in this little teeny embryo, and they eventually grow all the different parts. That's why they were used in orthopedics. They proved that they grew the arms, the legs, the cartilage. They did this, they did that. So they would derive them, inject them into legs to help things heal because they knew that's what they were for. Anyways, so some locations literally make their own petri dish babies and harvest those. India does not. India takes donor ones. Their government really mandates it. We have a bunch of different certifications from the government that says you have to pick them up at a certain time. You have to make sure they're this much are viable. They can't have certain, they test for all the different transmitted diseases. Anyways, back to my story. Okay. We also looked at a study, numerous studies that really indicate that the severe community is similar to a brain injury. A lot of them, it's an overnight difference. Some of them say that it could be a toxic environment. So let's say lead poisoning would count, scarlet fever. That one could be like a spike in the temperature so high that it caused brain damage. So all of these are different things that could cause, one, inflammation, and two, potential damage from said inflammation, or, or fever or poison, any of these. Anyway, so stem cells we're looking to heal. So what heals a traumatic brain injury? Well, stem cells are proven to heal it. And they're now doing it on Parkinson's, they're doing it on Alzheimer's, and now like the newer one is autism. Like any like neurological condition, I think is what they're calling it. They're starting to dabble in all those different fields because they're like, okay, well, like that cluster of cells has to grow a brain too. So they figured it out. Anyways, they're driving the cells, they're injecting them via IV and into, in our clinic, not all clinics do this, and I think it's very essential, they put them into the spinal fluid. The reason that's essential is because of the blood-brain barrier. We want it to pass that. It is hard for it to pass that anytime the kid is over 7 to 8 years old. It's easier before then because the blood-brain barrier isn't fully developed. But we wanted a straight shot, so we chose to go to a clinic that did both. Anyways, so we're trying to reduce inflammation and potentially heal his brain. That's mainly our whole goal. Like I said, he was able to do so many different things that are age appropriate, and then overnight he completely regressed. Every once in a while he continues to have like these weird regressions where he'll have learned a word for a week or so, and then he'll forget it again, and it's so weird, and it's like so hard for him, and it's so frustrating. You can see he gets so upset about it, because he knew the word, like literally he knows it. It's just like a neural pathway is like blocked. He just can't get it through. Anyways, so we're just hoping if we can reduce inflammation, one, he'll be able to focus on therapies more, and two, if we can heal any potential damage, maybe we can bring back some of those neurological pathways and make it easier for him to function. We're not trying to change who he is. We're just trying to make his life easier for him and hopefully make him safer, especially when we're not around.